Hi, I'm Ron Laity, Culinary Development Chef for Ms. Can Neuro. In this recipe, I will be making Kani Zu cucumber roll. Now, Kani Zu is a Japanese summer dish, and it's a pickled cucumber with crab and seaweed, and we have adapted it in a fusion style to go inside a sushi roll, and an inside-out roll, no less. With this recipe, as with any recipe involving Japanese rice, rice is very important. Now, with the recipe we're going to do, the sushi roll, the first technique is washing the rice, which is relevant to all dishes. So I'm taking 2 cups. Now these cups are actually 150 grams each. So as I put them in there, I have 300 grams of rice. This rice then needs to be washed. To wash a lot of the dust off, a lot of the starch, to get the best out of rice, you need to rinse and wash at least 3 to 4 times. Pour it away. When you put it in your rice cooker, sit it in the rice cooker, then add the same amount of water as the amount of rice. So 300 grams of rice, 3 milliliters of water. Leave it in the rice cooker, leave it there for 20 minutes. And what will happen is the grains will start to soak in some of the water, and that will break down some of the starches and the amino acids in the rice, and it will give it more flavor. Soaking is essential. As with some people, if you don't have a rice cooker, exactly the same washing technique, then put it in a saucepan, put the saucepan on a low to medium heat, put the lid on, bring the water to a boil, and then turn it down to a medium simmer. You want about 12 to 15 bubbles coming off. Put the lid on and leave it for 11 minutes. Turn the heat off, walk away, leave it again for another 11 minutes or so, and that will allow the rice to steam and fluff up. Okay, your rice is cooked. Get a nice large bowl and take out your lovely Japanese rice. It's nicely steamed. Right, I've got half the rice out the cooker, so you don't have to do it all in one batch. So here is 80 ml of shirigaku sushi seasoning. Now, this particular sushi seasoning is used in a lot of Japanese restaurants because of the basis for the actual production of it is the sake cake fermentation. The sake cake that goes into this product, actually when it's fermented, it creates 3 to 4 really strong amino acids which help the flavor expand beyond just a normal one line. It gives it a lot of body and a lot of depth. This one in particular, the shirigaku one, has that because of the sake cake. Now, I've got 80 ml here, I've got half of the rice, so I'm going to use half of my sushi seasoning. Now, when you're mixing it, you need to turn and cut. Don't mix it with a heavy hand. Turn and cut. That way, you preserve the grains of rice, and your wonderful sushi seasoning with all that lovely amino acid and extra flavor will cling to each grain of rice, and each grain of rice will be whole because you haven't gone in it like that. Now, when you've taken it out of the rice cooker, if it's hot, put it to one side, let it cool down. It needs to be around about the same temperature as your finger. Sushi rice, more often than not, in good restaurants, will be used at body temperature because that will give you maximum flavor. Right, to the ingredients for our sushi roll. First, we're going to have pickled cucumber. It's a quick pickle with black pepper. So when you're cutting anything to go inside your sushi roll, try and mash it up with your rolling mat because it's going to be roughly the same size. So I'm going to cut the end off there and cut the end off there, and then cut it in half. You can use baby cucumbers. This is quite a chunky one, so what I'm going to do is cut that in half, as we'll cut these into 3. because one of the issues with making sushi is people tend to put too much in the center and you cannot roll it properly because you've filled it too much. It's not like a club sandwich where you can ram everything in. The more you put in the center, the more difficult it is to roll. So this being a big one, I've cut the half into 3 pieces, and then you need to cut out the center seed and water bit. You don't want that. So these 3 bits I'm going to do, you have a combination of mirin and your shiragaku vinegar made from sake cake, which is the fermented product left over after making sake, and it has developed a batch of amino acids which add extra flavor to your to any dish you use it in. Now I'm adding quite a lot of black pepper. I'd say that's half a tablespoon. Now you can give it a little shake, stir it in. Now you got your lengths of cucumber. You can actually cut them in half, because when you roll you're going to use 2 halves. So put them in your vinegar. This is a quick pickle and actually only takes 15 minutes. You don't need it to go any longer because it gets a bit more sour. You need that really nice freshness of the cucumber, but a really nice sourness that comes from that sake cake vinegar. Okay, avocado. Try and find a nice, not overripe, but just ripe, and you can tell by the color. If it's a lighter green, it's not going to be ripe. You've got a nice sort of dark green there, and if you just touch it a little bit, if there's a little bit of give, it's about right. So you cut it in half, and be very careful. That should, yeah, just comes out. Just comes out means it's just right. Again in half, again in half. And then with avocados, when they're this, you should be able to just scoop them out like that. If they're not ripe, they ain't gonna come out. So that's about right. Then again, you can have a look at your pickling cucumber, and you kind of want the same sort of thickness. So again, do the same thing. Cut your half pieces into 3, and then you should have the right thickness for your roll. Like that. Okay. Move to rolling. We are going to do inside out roll. Now this, as you can see, is a rolling mat. However, in order to make an inside out roll, you will need to wrap it carefully with cling film, like so. You place it down on a sheet of cling film, fold it over, so this side is the seal, and then this side is the one you're going to use. The reason for that you will see as we move. Right, first, a whole sheet of nori. Now, I'm going to cut, if you have a look, you can see lines. Cut along the line. What you need to do is to cut a quarter off. So there's half, and then half of that. You can do it like so with a knife, or you can fold it and it will break. So that we don't need for this dish. Rolling mat. Sushi nori, shiny side down. Now, many people have problems making sushi because of the rice. So first things first, fingers, hands, make them damp. For those of you who may have seen sushi shops on TV, or may have even been to a sushi shop in Japan, while the sushi chefs are doing that, they're dampening their fingers. So when they go like this, the rice doesn't stick to your fingers. Keep them continually damp. Pick up a fat sausage-shaped lump of rice, sushi rice. Not a technical term, but an easy reference point. If you look at that, you can think of a rather large sausage. Put it down there, like so, and then just start to spread it out. Now, you want to keep this top bit top quarter or so clear of rice. You don't want rice on there because that's going to help you when you roll. It's going to stick and form your roll. So spread it out. Now you can see that was probably about the right amount actually. Now if you can see little bits of the nori sticking through like so, that's fine. That means you haven't put too much on. Now you want to make sure you get to the edge because there's nothing worse than bits of nori sticking out. So take it to the edge like so. Now the reason why you have cling film is because you're going to flip this over, and if you flip it over onto this mat without cling film, it will stick, hence the cling film. Now, the inside out roll, this one, we're going to use tobiko, the orange fish eggs, like so. You don't need too many. It just gives it a lovely little orange tinge. And then some spring onions, not too many again. Then you've got a nice colour combination on the outside. On the outside of the roll is the first thing that somebody's going to see. So if you can have anything from sesame seeds, you can have, there's different types of furikake, which is chopped seaweed and little bits and pieces mixed in, shichimi, which is a combination of different spices, and sprinkle it on the outside. Chopped chives as well is a really good one, which I like, which goes with crab. This would have actually done the same thing as a spring onion. Now I'm going to mention chopped chives in a moment as well as an alternative to go through. So you've got this, you flip it over to your ingredients. I'm going to use cucumber there, like so, and next to it I'm going to lay the avocado. Now you don't want to put too much in, you want to snuggle it up there. So take your lightly pickled crab, remembering you've taken a spoonful of this, mixed it with that. Now, to rolling. So, crab hands, you need to be like this, okay? So your thumbs go behind, like that. Your fingers go, as you roll forward, you need to tuck the ingredients inside. Like that. Okay, see it? Yeah, like that. It's all ready to roll forward. So then you just go forward, gently, like that. Give it a little tuck, come out, and there you have it. So you take your roll, put them there, da-da-da. Now, your knife needs to be sharp and wet because you don't want a dry knife because that will drag your rice. So cut this roll in half. So there you have a half, which is going to be cut in half again, which is going to be cut in half again, and again. Now I can feel the slight drag on this because you can see some of the rice is attached to the knife. So give it a wipe and keep it wet. Otherwise, you're just going to drag through and you're going to break the roll, which is really annoying because you just made it and it looks so beautiful. Again, that half into half and that half into half, like so. Wet fingers. Now, when you present them, split them into twos like that. 2, 2, 2, 2, because when you open them, you'll get symmetric effect, okay? So. That's the finished dish, but also you can finish it off if you're serving like that. And if you'd actually put a little bit of chili or a little bit of something red in there, you would have had a nice chili mayonnaise on the top. You can then dress it with a little bit of spring onion. There you have it.